When you want to use a computer, you usually go to the box, find the power on button, press it, and after some time, you have on the screen maybe a login system, a terminal, maybe an application started here, and you can start using the computer. But what happens here in this interval? From the moment we press the power on button and we get an operational system. This is called the boot process, and this is what we will see in this video. Boot process. What happens is something like this. When we press the power on button, then the system do some self checks to check that everything in the hardware is okay and everything is okay, and then it loads the UFI. The UFI is a software that is stored on the motherboard. So depending on the motherboard, a different software will be loaded with different capabilities, but they are standard. There is a standard for accessing some parts of the system. And the UFI, well, it will launch the EFI. The EFI is the bootloader when we configure if we want to start the system from a pen drive or from a hard drive or whatever. We are configuring the EFI bootloader, and then it goes to the hard drive usually, and it usually has some partition here. EFI marks as EFI, and it has here a piece of software. You can have more than one loader here, and depending on your motherboard configuration, it will load this piece of software and will run it. Okay, and this part is common for all operating systems, but here each bootloader is dependent on the operating system. Okay, so for example, Windows will have a bootloader, Linux will have a different bootloader, macOS will have its own bootloader. Okay, so once this is into memory, we are working with the loader provided by our operating system. In the case of Linux, we use usually the Grand Unified Bootloader or GRUB. GRUB is a program that can in the GRUB configuration, you can specify some parameters. For example, you can have a menu when you start the computer where you can pick some options. For example, starting the system in a rescue mode or in an old version of the kernel or whatever. You have this menu usually with a pre-selected option, and then GRUB, depending on the option, it loads the kernel. The main task of GRUB is to load the kernel into memory. Remember that the kernel is the main part of the operating system. So it looks for the kernel somewhere, here maybe, and loads the kernel into memory. But the kernel, we still haven't any program running into our system. The kernel must run a first program. And the first program it runs is systemd. Well, it depends. We are seeing here systemd. There are another options, older options. So we will see here systemd. This is what we will see in this unit. And the purpose of systemd is to prepare all the system to be used for a user. So we will see later. We have some configuration here defined in targets, and system then will start some programs as in a predefined order, and at some point it will launch the display manager. The display manager, it allows us to log in using a graphics mode or a login mode, a login program in text mode. Okay, but this is the task of systemd, is to start all the programs needed by our operating system, by Linux, to run and prepare it for a user. And that's what we will see here. Systemd, the configuration of systemd, and the managing and managing services with systemd.